Welcome to the deep dive. Today we have a really fascinating piece of source material. In fact, it's just a title.
Yeah, just a few words.
Excerpts from the double-edged power of social platforms.
Hmm.
And our whole mission today is to just, deconstruct that,
Yeah.
to pull out the massive argument that's sort of hidden in plain sight. Okay, so let's unpack this. The title itself is a complete thesis statement, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It just demands that we address this paradox right from the start. We know the topic is social platforms, obviously, but the concept we really have to grapple with is this intrinsic duality, the fact that its power is double-edged.
That tension is everything. I mean, if the source had just been called the influence of social platforms, we'd be having a totally different conversation.
A much simpler one.
A much simpler one. But the choice of double-edged power, it forces our focus. We have to figure out what are these two conflicting edges and why are they so significant?
And this really matters to you, the listener, right? Because if you just treat these systems as, I don't know, neutral tools.
You're missing the point. You're missing the defining characteristic. Understanding this duality moves you from just being a passive user.
You can carry it along by it.
Right, to being an informed agent, someone who can actually navigate the inherent risks. It's the difference between being caught in the current and, understanding the tides.
Let's dedicate some serious time to the heaviest word in that title, which is power.
Mm-hmm.
Because we aren't talking about, like, mild or marginal influence here. This is a language that's usually reserved for forces that, fundamentally reshape society. So what is the scale of transformation implied by that term?
It implies velocity. I think that's the key. We're talking about a transformative capacity, the ability to generate a societal speed and scale that was just impossible before.
Right.
This power isn't just about reaching a lot of people. It's the ability to rapidly organize, to instantly inform, or to just dramatically shift public opinion on a global scale.
In minutes, not days.
In minutes.
Yeah.
The implication is that these platforms are a systemic force.
Yeah.
They're like an engine that just accelerates everything. Trends, narratives, you name it.
That velocity is key. The platform itself, the architecture, is designed for maximum distribution. It's exponential. But if the influence is that big, that systemic, shouldn't we expect to see, structural effects?
Yeah.
Like real changes in the economy or in politics?
Absolutely. The use of power suggests a genuine shift in infrastructure. I mean, think about network effects.
Sure.
When a tool gets this level of global saturation, the network isn't just a bunch of connections anymore. It becomes like a prerequisite for participating in public life.
You have to be on it to be in the conversation.
Exactly. That gravitational pull, that necessity, that's power. It changes how governments talk to citizens, how markets react to news, and maybe most importantly, how dissenting voices can mobilize. It can flatten hierarchies almost instantly.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because now we're moving from just defining the size of the force, the engine, to understanding its direction. So we have to pivot to that crucial modifier, double-edged. If we agree this engine has transformative power, then double-edged implies that the same infrastructure, the same velocity, that creates all this incredible good.
Must simultaneously carry the seeds of inherent harm. It's the central irony of it all.
The functionality we praise is the risk we fear.
Inextricably linked. Yeah. If you try to analyze them separately, edge 1 over here and edge 2 over there, you miss the core problem. They rely on the exact same mechanism.
Speed, scale.
And decentralized publishing.
Right.
Right. So the title is basically challenging us to outline these two opposing forces that are springing from the very same root.
Okay, let's start with the positive side of this paradox, what we can call edge 1. The constructive and connecting edge. I mean, the whole point of a social platform is connectivity.
Right.
So what are the specific gains that come from democratizing information on this scale?
Edge 1 is all about bypassing the traditional gatekeepers, institutions, media outlets. Because publishing is decentralized, any individual gets immediate access to a global audience.
It's like information liquidity.
That's a great way to put it. And that liquidity enables genuine collective action. You can coordinate huge charitable relief efforts in hours, not weeks. It allows citizen journalism to surface the truth in places where state media might be suppressing it.
So this edge is pure empowerment. It's giving a voice and visibility to people who have historically been shut out.
It's the promise of a truly level playing field where the best idea or the most urgent story can rise up just based on, user-driven validation. It bypasses the old editorial boards and the political filters.
And it's amplified by those network effects you mentioned.
Precisely. The collective wisdom of the crowd can assemble information faster than any single organization ever could. And this also fosters these deep niche communities that are so important, for specialized knowledge or for supporting vulnerable groups.
So Edge 1 is that ideal of a global, instant, peer-to-peer connection that, builds bridges and drives awareness.
That's the utopian vision, yes.
Yeah. But let's push back on that utopian view for a second. Because while access might be democratized, the distribution, that's a different story, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
If everyone can publish, but what actually gets seen is prioritized by these opaque algorithms that are designed purely for engagement, are we just swapping old gatekeepers for new ones? For ones that are maybe more powerful and way less accountable?
That is the critical challenge, and that's what forces us toward edge 2, the negative or destructive edge.
Okay.
The fact that distribution is algorithmic and that it's designed to maximize engagement, often through strong emotional responses.
Rage, fear.
Exactly. It means that the very same mechanisms that amplify all the benefits of Edge 1 are basically hardwired to amplify the risks of Edge 2.
You were talking about the rapid spread of misinformation. Fragmentation, the same speed that allows for that critical aid coordination you mentioned, also creates what you could call like a verification latency.
Yeah, a gap.
By the time a journalist can fact-check a claim, it's already circled the globe a dozen times. That instantaneous velocity just becomes this overwhelming flood of unvetted stuff.
And this structural bias towards engagement, it just fundamentally enables polarization. The algorithm learns what keeps you hooked, and a lot of the time, that means feeding you content that validates what you already believe.
No matter how extreme.
No matter how extreme. And that leads to these massive, self-reinforcing echo chambers. So instead of bringing diverse people together, the platform's power is used to drive them apart into these ideological silos.
So that fragmentation is a direct byproduct of the velocity that makes Edge 1 so great.
It is. They're linked.
And we can't ignore the architecture itself. The word platform implies this central place where data is stored. And that brings us immediately to privacy and surveillance.
Of course.
The power to connect millions is tied directly to the power to monitor, track, and target those same millions of people. That duality is built right into the business model, isn't it?
It is the business model. The constructive side offers you personalized content, things you'll like. The destructive side relies on invasive data collection to achieve that personalization.
Right.
So the power that can be used to target users with, say, life-saving health information is the exact same power used to target them with malicious campaigns or political manipulation. And it's all based on the data footprint they leave behind.
This is why the tension feels irresolvable.
It is, because if you try to solve the Edge 2 problems, like say you require mandatory human vetting of all content, you immediately destroy the core benefit of Edge 1.
Which is the speed and the democratization.
Exactly. If you slow down the spread of harmful content, you are by definition slowing down the spread of beneficial time-sensitive information. The structure itself forces a choice between two essential but conflicting societal needs.
And the moment you realize that, the moment you see that the solution to one edge actively undermines the other, the discussion leaves, like the realm of engineering.
And it enters philosophy.
Yeah. It implies these platforms can never really be neutral or benign. They are, by their nature, these potent forces that are just defined by a paradox. So when we synthesize this, what does it all mean? The source title gives us a really clear thesis. Social platforms are not passive tools. They're not just conduits. They are forces of immense potential, that transformative engine we talked about, that carry inherent, unavoidable risk.
And the mechanism for good is the mechanism for harm.
They are one and the same.
The primary takeaway here is that the core challenge of managing our digital society is not about fixing bugs in the code. It's about dealing with inherent design features. The double-edged nature isn't a flaw in the system. It is the system. It's defining characteristic.
So the real challenge is what? A balancing act.
It's a constant balancing act. It's trying to maximize all the benefits you get from Edge 1, the connection, the speed, the global visibility, while at the same time deploying these really sophisticated societal and technical defenses against the catastrophic risks of Edge 2.
Fragmentation, algorithmic bias.
The erosion of critical thinking,
Yeah.
all of it.
the sheer gravity of the phrase double-edged power just forces us to elevate our perspective. We have to see these systems not as simple apps on our phones, but as fundamental societal infrastructure.
Yeah, like roads or the power grid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Capable of building things up and tearing things down with equal speed. I think this deep dive has really shown that just being aware of this intrinsic duality is the first and maybe the most crucial step toward informed engagement.
And that brings us to a final provocative thought for you to mull over. If the power in these systems is truly double-edged, and I mean really, where the constructive side relies on the destructive side to exist, then where does the responsibility lie? Is the primary responsibility for wielding it effectively purely institutional? Does it rest solely on the platform owners and the regulators who manage the architecture? Or, given the speed and the totally decentralized nature of it all, does the final burden of informed choice, of critical consumption and ethical participation, does that rest entirely with you, the individual user? The answer to that question really defines the future of our digital society.